I added a label for the tiny island of Saseno. Um, that's the Italian name. Uh, it's called Sasano in Greek and Sazani in Albanian. Little island off the coast of Albania, um, which is one of the most obscure places you're ever going to read about. Uh, it has almost no population, uh, but we'll get to that later. I might mention that this Saseno is considered the northernmost of the Ionian Islands. Saseno is right at the point where the Ionian Sea becomes the Adriatic. North of Saseno, it's called the Adriatic. Now on to Saseno. Um, this is probably all you're ever going to read about the history of Saseno because there isn't much more. Um, It was part of the group of islands that were ceded to Greece by Great Britain, part of the Ionian group in 1864. Uh, but it was not settled by the Greeks. It was not actually occupied by Greek forces until 1912, during the Balkan War, when they took over a fairly large territory now known as Northern Epirus, now part of Albania, but then occupied by the Greeks. Uh, they occupied it temporarily until March of 1914, when, according to the international agreements following the Balkan War, they had to leave North Epirus. In October of 1914, after the Greeks had left, Italy occupied the island, while at the same time, Greece reoccupied North Epirus on the mainland during World War I, with the permission of the Allies. So the Italians established themselves in October of 1914. North Epirus was returned to Albania after World War I. But Saseno remained under Italian control as a part of the Italo-Albanian settlement of 1920. Well, the Italians built a lighthouse and settled some fishermen on the island and issued a set of overprinted stamps for local use in 1923. By the way, the same year that they briefly occupied Corfu. The stamps saw very, very little use. However, Saseno remained part of Italy until 1947. And of course, in 1947, Italy had just emerged from its alliance with Germany. It had been on the losing side in World War II. And so the island was returned to Albania at that point. During the communist period in Albania, the island became a military base and was off limits to civilians. So literally had no civilian population. And it was thought to be used, this is information that the American military experts thought they had, that it was being used by the Soviet Union as a submarine base and a storage site for hazardous materials. So still to this day, it really has no permanent residence. It's a tourist destination, has beautiful beaches. It's very small. It's about 5 square miles. These are the stamps overprinted for Saseno. I don't have any with cancellations, just the unused stamps. You can see how similar they are to the stamps issued for Corfu. Almost identical stamps with very, very similar type of overprint. And there it is, the beach on the island of Saseno, as the Italians called it.
Greece remained neutral in World War I, didn't it?
Up to a point. There was
really?
there was a national division. In 1916, the king of Greece and those who were following him did not want to be involved in the war. They were pro-German. He was married. The Greek king was married to the sister of Kaiser Wilhelm.
Yeah.
And he had been trained. He had gone to military training in Germany. So he was not in favor of Greece joining the Allies. But there was a sizable faction among the Greeks that was favorable to the Allies under the Prime Minister Venizelos. And he actually went off to Thessalonica and set up a provisional government there. So for a while in 1916, there were two governments in Greece, one neutral and one pro-Allied.
Mm.
And the Allies took advantage of that and actually landed forces at Thessalonica and began a campaign moving northward up through Greece and into Serbia and what's now Albania.
Wow.
But then the king was actually forced to abdicate, and then Greece did join the Allied effort in 1917. So it was briefly neutral before joining the Allies.
Wow. Okay.